Hi, my name is Ingo Fast. I'm from Germany and I moved to New York in 1991.
So I started pursuing this slow trip idea that I had for a long time, beginning with a sailboat trip. I figured out how to hook up the satellite phone to my PowerBook. I'm doing a weekly assignment for a newspaper for the last 3 years, so that was a particular challenge to keep that going. So everything went smooth, basically, except when we had some rough weather, which turned out to be a pretty major storm. That time during the storm we spent 2 days in the cabin. I was mostly fighting my seasickness, still trying to get out sketches. I spent about 6 or 7 months on land using buses. I hitchhiked, I used ferries, went on a Trans-Siberian Express, all the while doing my work. I learned to work in very small spots and also in small time frames. I knew I had maybe an hour in a train station when the train wasn't rattling to actually do some sketches. Or I was of course working in some hostels or hotels or in hotel lobbies and on buses sometimes. And in Mongolia I decided to do a part of the distance by horse. So I found a horseman who didn't speak any English, and after my driver left, that was the first time in my life, I think, where I felt really, really alone. Not alone in the sense that I was totally alone on my own, but I couldn't communicate. I couldn't speak to this very friendly family that was around me, that served me food. They were preparing extra padding and bags for my equipment, and we communicated by sketching. I was mostly making some little sketches to ask him, you know, when are we going to put up our tent. He was responding sometimes. I met a couple from Spain in Mongolia entering China, and they showed me this great little book. It's called Pointed. It has about 2,000 photos in it. It's very small though, and no text whatsoever. So you just point at what you need in a country where there's nobody who understands your language. I decided to travel on a container ship. I booked a trip from Melbourne to Auckland first, and also wasn't sure yet how am I going to continue to work on a container ship, because my satellite phone wasn't working. So I asked the captain if it would be possible to use the onboard satellite system to for my personal use, to send my emails and drawings. Basically my routine was breakfast, lunch, 4 o'clock ping pong with the captain every day, dinner, and 8 or 9 o'clock at night I was meeting the captain to give him my little flash drive with my drawings. It was actually pretty easy compared to the sailboat. A beautiful moment was to enter the San Francisco Bay at about 6 a.m. in the morning, and it was a glorious moment. I felt like I'm an immigrant, really. Driving back home from Chicago to New York was very special, because it felt like just returning from a weekend trip. All right, done. Really, most of them, especially the art directors at the newspaper I'm doing a weekly column for, they knew pretty much every step I took. I instructed them very well. I told them I'm on a sailboat and I have this dedicated email box that I used to download messages expensively through the satellite phone, so I only had a few people that I told, please send me messages to that email box. My support group, really, although I was working for them, but they were very supportive. Many people said they vicariously traveled with me that way.
So my name is Laurie Rosenwald, and let's see, I'm a designer / illustrator mush with designer, and I paint and I write. And to me, it's no big difference. And sometimes I feel like I'm 52 and I still haven't figured out what to major in. My lifestyle is I live pretty much half the time in Sweden since '99. And I've also lived in Italy and lived in Paris and spent a lot of time in Iceland and worked in Germany. And did I say Japan? Oh, there are huge differences, but more I think in Japan, where they've said things like, can you make it more abstract? You know, you'd never hear that here. I mean, I think like it's important to remember that, you know, Matisse was not from Kansas. The things that influenced me, the things that I like are European. So, but the first time I went there, which was I think in '81 or '82, my first thought was, where is everybody? That's what I thought, being from Manhattan. It's very, I mean, in all of Sweden, there's, I think, 8 or 9 million people in the whole country. So I like that. It gives you sort of room to move.
Now, what do you do to make sure your clients don't freak out when you're so far away from them?
They do freak out, so I don't tell them. They don't know. They don't know where I am. When I do something for the New Yorker from Canal Street and they're in Midtown, it's exactly the same as if I'm in Sweden and they're in Midtown. It doesn't matter. I send everything by email. I think it's sort of depressing because I like to see my clients, especially the people in New York. They're fun, so I try to have lunch with them when I'm in New York because I like to have contacts with my clients. When you're not a real human being for them and they never met you, you're just the work, and they can treat you kind of like that, if you know what I mean. You know, like we need it now, you know, means not like in an hour, it means like right now, like you're supposed to be sitting by the computer 24/7 and at their beck and call. So that's kind of a problem. But on the other hand, it's freedom, you know, so I don't have kids, and I always say that if it's a good thing, because if I did, they'd be like barefoot and starving, because I'm very selfish. So I don't know why anybody, you know, who is in my situation, who doesn't have to be in one place, why they don't travel around. I mean, it's, you know, when you do something visual, it's kind of universal language. Although I do speak Swedish like a native New Yorker. I mean, for me, what I'm afraid of is being bored. So I'm not afraid of things being weird or different or new. I'm afraid of the opposite. So that's how it is for me.